Americans made more than $3.5 billion last year using some of the things in their everyday lives.
People are making money on all the things around their home.
Welcome to the share economy, a place where you can get a ride, stay in a stranger's home, or get some rando to put together your IKEA furniture, all at the click of a mouse or a tap of your smartphone. A share economy is made up of web-based companies who exchange goods and services on demand, usually linking busy people up with those who want to make some extra money. It's an economy built for and by millennials. They entered the workforce during the recession. They can't afford cars and homes, but they can afford some Wi-Fi. And it boasts the crunchy granola idea of empowering regular people by creating an economy that's efficient and eco-friendly. One way to do that is by folks making money on things they're not using, by offering them up at a lower price than a regular business.
Need a ride? Get an Uber. Home repair? TaskRabbit. Groceries? Instacart. They're part of what's called the gig economy. Workers take gigs, perform on-demand services, but not as employees, as independent contractors. While the new gig economy is based on apps and smartphones, its labor management dynamics are nothing new. Hospitals with their contingent workers, colleges with their adjunct professors, people have done odd jobs to make ends meet since, well, forever.
For most American workers, wages have barely kept up with inflation, so the gig economy has been a boon for the under and unemployed. 1 in 3 people is already in the gig economy, and it's been super rockin' for minority and younger workers.
What is the government's role? What should the government be thinking about or doing because of this really fundamental change for a lot of American workers?
Well, I think we have to recognize that if there is no safety net, somebody who may be doing very, very well as a Etsy seller and Airbnb user and Uber driver and part-time consultant, they're doing fine, but if they hit a rough patch, they have nothing to stop them until they fall, frankly, back upon government assistance programs. So is there a way to rethink the social contract in this new gig economy?
Do you worry what happens to these workers if there is no action by the government to try to establish a way to provide that kind of benefits for them?
If they have no safety net in there, I think there does raise a huge number of questions that, as policymakers, we need to think through. And it may not be the old model that's government-driven. It may be some public-private model, but we got to start the debate.
By the year 2020, 40% of the American workforce could be contingent workers. Is it weird if you have to have the relationship status talk with your boss? Okay, so I know when I first started here, you were like, I'm totally not into labels. But it's been 3 years, and I need to know, are you employing me? Imagine a future where your job is day to day, and technology is so good, your employer can hold a spot auction to fill your job, so I can get a fleet of workers without putting a ring on it. What company wouldn't want to do this? Let's talk about the $50 billion elephant in the room. Talking about Uber. Uber's entire driver workforce is classified as independent contractors.
Uber drivers are a diverse bunch. Some quit their day jobs and call Uber their main source of income, while others drive in their free time to make a little cash on the side.
Uber gives me the freedom to enjoy my life the way that I choose to.
And if you ask Uber, that's exactly why the company's drivers are classified as independent contractors. Uber doesn't tell them when or how to work.
Airbnb, the company, was founded in 2008. The site now offers more than 1 million listings in over 190 countries. In 7 years, 35 million guests checked into rooms and homes.
I'm Peg, and I'm an Airbnb host, and I have been an Airbnb host for almost 3 years. I was laid off April 30th of 2009. Another regular job isn't necessarily a good objective. So the idea of sharing definitely help a lot. It helps pay the mortgage. I don't think of them as strangers. I think of them as friends I haven't met yet. Nice meeting you. Okay. Takes commitment, and if I commit to a guest coming, I can't say, oh, it's not going to work today. I'm committed, and it's lots of connecting, that's for sure.
We're coming to a really important time where resources are limited, population are rising rapidly. And if we don't do something about it, our communities are going to break down.
So we're facing a triple crisis of environment, economy, and social division. We can't continue with the economy that we have now. That is a bus riding off the edge of a cliff.
We wouldn't mind the competition if we were all playing by the same rules, but they're taking our business that we rely on and they're just going out and skimming off the cream and taking what we need to survive.
It's of an intense housing set of challenges. We don't have enough affordable housing for everyone who wants to live here. And the idea that you could simply take off the marketplace rental units or homes that could otherwise be used to permanently house San Francisco families doesn't sit well with many of us. And so we're crafting legislation to really address that situation. Any new area that the shareable economy has entered is disrupting what has been an old way of doing things. Sort of 21st century disruptive technologies that are challenging 20th centuries of how people interact with each other.
It's this great risk shift, right? Where businesses have reordered themselves so that they do not have to bear any risk. When we look at subcontractors, temp workers, independent contractors across the board, how are we going to protect these people who we call non-workers?
It's very fluid, which I think is not something that people really experience before as an option for income. They can make it financially possible for themselves to be free from the requirements of a rigid job.
We're kind of at a moment similar to like what happened in the Industrial Revolution when factories started to become a big employer. Like there wasn't worker protections and the institutions to support them haven't really emerged yet, but are emerging.
Sustainability and altruism runs around 5th on the list of things on why they're in this space. In the end, people want to use this because it's fast and cheap.
The 90s was about getting people online. And the 2000s was about connecting people online with things like Facebook and social networks. And I think the next decade of companies will be about connecting people offline.
As connected as we are today, a lot of people still feel disconnected. It's like that person with 5,000 friends on Facebook but still eating alone. And we want to leverage the power of the internet and technology to be able to bridge that online-offline divide.
This isn't just technology-driven change or increases in efficiency. I mean, it's a confluence of a bunch of different factors. We've got the technology, we've got the economic drivers, we've got the sociological drivers. And so to me, this is here to stay, and this is going to be huge.
If it sounds like the share economy is a win-win for everyone, it's not that simple. What if you don't have a smartphone or internet access? The share economy is for the have-somes, not the have-nots. And though a flexible schedule sounds like a perk, steady pay isn't a guarantee. Workers are at the whim of companies who can decrease rates and increase their cut whenever they please. Workers also don't qualify for health insurance, paid sick leave, vacation, or any normal employee benefits that some companies never wanted to pay for in the first place. Then, depending on the company, there are extra costs like gas, employment taxes, and car and home maintenance, things that end up falling to workers. When you look at it from a business perspective, the growing share economy has major impacts on traditional businesses. The hotel and cab industries are being squeezed by cheaper and more convenient alternatives. You might be saying, well, hotels and cabs just need to catch up with the times. But traditional industries are, for better or worse, regulated, while until recently, Airbnb and Lyft were not, depending on where you live. And hotels have regular safety inspections so that you don't, say, die in a fire. And there are zoning restrictions. Not everyone wants to live next to a hotel or come home to find a XXX freak fest, 'cause that happened. Plus, what's to prevent a landlord from evicting you and Airbnb-ing the entire building? Not much, 'cause many are. So can you really call this sharing, or is it just business as usual and more aggressive than usual, relying on outsourcing, messed up labor practices, and exploitation? Critics would say yes, but there are some companies trying to stay true to the real share economy. Like Loconomics, a worker-owned version of TaskRabbit. All workers have equal voting rights in the company. Or the numerous taxi co-ops now using apps, the hacker and maker spaces, or bike kitchens in your local gentrifying neighborhood. So is this just peer-to-peer capitalism, or peace, love, and sharing? What do you think?